10 Down WJ presents The Devil Wears Anjanett. In the small town of Marlow, Texas, where the sun scorched the earth during the day and the stars illuminated the night, there lived a woman named Anjanett. She was an enigmatic figure, known for her fierce determination, sharp tongue, and a penchant for manipulation. With flowing auburn hair and piercing green eyes, she possessed a beauty that could charm the most stubborn of hearts. Yet beneath the surface, Anjanett harbored a darkness that would make even the devil himself tremble. Anjanett was a woman who always wanted her way. No matter the cost, she believed the world revolved around her whims. The townsfolk whispered tales of her cunning schemes, and many had fallen victim to her plots. Unsatisfied with her life, Anjanett spent her days seeking to bend others to her will, driven by a hatred that simmered within her like a pot on the verge of boiling over. Her disdain for those she deemed inferior was palpable. She carried the same hatred that had once been directed at women, a reminder of an era when they were treated as property rather than individuals. Anjanett often scoffed at the idea of compassion, her arrogance blinding her to the humanity in others. To her, people were mere pawns in her game of life, to be manipulated and discarded as she saw fit. She had more respect for her beloved golden retriever, Duke, than for the men and women who crossed her path. It was a particularly sweltering July afternoon when Anjanett set her sights on her latest target, a newcomer to Marlow named Jacob. Jacob was a quiet man, a gentle soul who had moved to town to escape the chaos of city life and embrace the serenity of the countryside. He had dreams of starting a small farm, hoping to cultivate the land with love and care. But to Anjanett, Jacob represented everything she despised, a man who dared to believe in kindness and hard work. Anjanett's mind raced with possibilities as she plotted her scheme. She knew she could ruin Jacob's reputation in the community, and with it, his dreams. She wanted to see him suffer, to feel the sting of her wrath. She spent days devising a plan, feeding on her bitterness like a ravenous wolf stalking its prey. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, as Anjanett set her plan into motion. She spread rumors about Jacob, claiming he was an outlaw fleeing from the law, a criminal who intended to deceive the townsfolk. The whispers morphed into a cacophony of falsehoods, and soon, Jacob found himself the target of suspicion. Days turned into weeks, and the townspeople's attitude towards Jacob shifted. Once welcoming, they now regarded him with suspicion and fear. Anjanett reveled in the chaos she had sown, the satisfaction of watching Jacob's dreams crumble beneath the weight of her lies. But as she plotted and schemed, Anjanett's arrogance blinded her to the truth. She failed to see the kindness that flourished in Jacob's heart, the determination that drove him to rise above adversity. Instead, she only saw the opportunity to exploit his vulnerability, to tear him down like a predator feasting on a wounded animal. One fateful evening, as Jacob worked late in his fields, Anjanett decided to confront him. She approached him with a feigned smile, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Well, if it isn't the infamous Jacob," she said, her tone mocking. "I hear you've been causing quite the stir around here." Jacob looked up from his work, confusion etched on his face. "What do you mean, Anjanett? I haven't done anything wrong." Anjanett laughed, a cold, cruel sound that echoed in the stillness of the night. "Oh, but you have, darling. You're nothing more than a lowly drifter, a thief in the night, trying to steal our hearts and our trust. People are talking, and they don't like what they see." "People are talking," Jacob replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil brewing inside him. "What exactly are they saying?" "They say you're a fraud, a criminal hiding behind a facade of innocence," Anjanett sneered, relishing in the pain she was inflicting. "And I must say, I agree. You don't belong here, Jacob. You should pack your bags and leave before it's too late." Jacob's heart sank as he listened to Anjanett's venomous words. He had come to Marlow seeking solace, yet here was this woman, casting shadows over his dreams. But instead of succumbing to despair, he chose to rise above her hatred. "I may not be perfect, Anjanett, but I believe in kindness and integrity. I won't let your words define me." Anjanett's expression darkened at his defiance. "You think you can talk to me like that? You're nothing, a nobody. Just a man with dreams too big for his britches." With that, she turned on her heel and stormed away, her anger boiling over. But as she walked away, she didn't notice the figure lurking in the shadows, watching the confrontation unfold. It was Duke, Anjanett's loyal dog. He had always been her confidant, her companion through thick and thin. But as he watched his owner spew hatred, something within him shifted. Duke had always sensed the goodness in Jacob, the warmth that radiated from him like sunlight. And in that moment, he realized that Anjanett's cruelty was a poison that threatened to consume them both. The following days saw Jacob struggling to regain the trust of the townsfolk. He worked tirelessly to prove his worth, helping neighbors with their crops and lending a hand wherever he could. Slowly but surely, the people began to see the truth behind the lies Anjanett had spun. They recognized Jacob's kindness and integrity, and one by one, they began to warm to him. But Anjanett was not one to back down easily. Her hatred continued to fester, and with each passing day, she grew more desperate to sabotage Jacob's efforts. She devised a new plan, one that would ensure his complete ruin. Under the guise of friendship, she approached Jacob once more. "You know, Jacob, I've been thinking," she said, her voice dripping with false sincerity. "Why don't we work together? You could use my expertise in the field." Jacob hesitated, sensing the insincerity behind her words. "I appreciate the offer, Anjanett, but I think it's best if we keep our distance. I want to do this on my own." Her smile faltered for a moment, but she quickly recovered. "Suit yourself. But don't say I didn't warn you when you find yourself drowning in failure." Days turned into weeks, and as Jacob continued to forge his path, Anjanett grew more determined to see him fall. She spread rumors of crop failures, claiming Jacob was cursed, that he was bringing misfortune to the land. But the more she tried to tear him down, the more the townsfolk rallied around him, drawn to his strength and resilience. As the summer wore on, something shifted within Anjanett. The hatred she had clung to like a lifeline began to feel heavy, suffocating. She found herself haunted by the images of Jacob's unwavering spirit, the kindness he showed even in the face of her cruelty. A flicker of doubt crept into her heart, and for the first time, she questioned whether her actions were justified. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Anjanett found herself wandering the fields, lost in thought. The weight of her arrogance pressed down on her, and she could no longer ignore the truth. She had become a reflection of the hatred she had always despised, a woman consumed by her own demons. In that moment of vulnerability, Duke approached her, his gentle eyes filled with understanding. He nuzzled against her leg, offering the comfort she had long denied herself. Anjanett knelt down, tears streaming down her face as she finally acknowledged the pain she had caused. "I don't want to be this person anymore," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I'm tired of fighting, of pushing people away. I don't want to be the devil anymore." As she sat there in the fading light, Anjanett realized that the path of hatred had only led her to isolation and despair. It was time to change, to seek redemption, to embrace the humanity she had long overlooked. With newfound determination, Anjanett sought out Jacob, ready to apologize for her actions. She found him working in his fields, the sun casting a golden glow around him. "Jacob," she called, her voice trembling with emotion. He turned to face her, a mixture of surprise and caution in his eyes. "Anjanett, I need to talk to you," she said, her heart racing. "I want to apologize for the pain I've caused. I let my anger and prejudice blind me, and I realize now that I was wrong." Jacob studied her for a moment, searching her eyes for sincerity. "You hurt a lot of people, Anjanett. It's not easy to forgive." "I know," she replied, her voice breaking. "But I want to change. I want to learn from my mistakes and be better. Can you give me that chance?" He hesitated, but as he looked into her eyes, he saw the flicker of hope shining through the darkness. "Everyone deserves a second chance, Anjanett. But it won't be easy." "I'm willing to try," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I want to be better. For myself, for you, for this town." As the sun set on Marlow, the once divided town began to heal. Anjanett and Jacob forged an unlikely friendship, working side by side to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. The townsfolk watched in awe as the woman who had once spread hatred transformed into a beacon of hope and compassion. In the end, Anjanett learned that true strength came not from manipulation and control but from vulnerability and humility. As she embraced her humanity, she let go of the darkness that had once consumed her, finding solace in the love and kindness that surrounded her. And in that small town in Texas, The devil had indeed worn a woman's face, but now, she wore a heart full of compassion, ready to bless rather than curse, to build rather than destroy. May God have mercy, and may she continue to learn that vengeance belonged not to her but to the Lord, who would repay with love and grace. 10 down WJ, where creativity meets impact. 10 down WJ, E, N, T,